Hey y'all, hope y'all are doing alright today. I'm just chilling, drinking some green tea and some lavender, and I was already pretty tired, so I'm pretty down tempo, let's just say that. But I wanted to come through and talk about what happened when I quit smoking weed. I just feel very compelled to talk about it. So let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. This is probably gonna be a little bit of a long video. Um, just because there's a lot of information around this, alright? So, let's get some background. So, I started smoking weed when I was like 18, okay? It was my first year in college. Up until then, I never smoked weed before. You know, my friends were doing it, and I started doing it, and then I got in a relationship with somebody who did it a lot, and it just became a habit for me. And, you know, if I experienced a lot of traumas, especially around this time period, and smoking weed became like a coping mechanism. And something that I learned down the road is that, you know, getting high and things like that really contribute to like disassociation, which is kind of what I was trying to do, is like disassociate a little bit, and it helped. So, like addictions, you know, I look at it as like that's just how somebody was trying to survive a situation that was a bit too much for them at the time. And that's where I was at, is I was experiencing a lot. I couldn't really deal with it. And so I smoked weed to kind of help me with that. And I told myself that, you know, this is helping me. This is helping me be more creative. This is helping me be more calm. And though like it kind of was like that in the moment, and mind you, back then, back in the day, we didn't have dispensaries. Like you would get weed from some like random people, or you know, your family, your friends, or whatever. But it was like a little bit different. Like, you know, you get some good weed and you might have like these epiphanies and stuff. But nowadays, like you go to the dispensary, the weed's different, all right? And it's different in a bad way. Like, I mean, not bad, but it's just different, all right? It's stronger, and it's not as pure, right? It's manufactured weed. And anytime you have exploitation behind something, it just don't. Anyway, back to the point. So that's kind of where I was at, right? I've taken breaks. You know, was pregnant with my daughter. I didn't smoke throughout that whole time period. I've taken breaks throughout that, here and there. But it wasn't until my brother died that I started smoking pretty heavily again. And it was becoming like a coping thing where I felt like I couldn't handle life around me. I couldn't handle his death because so many deaths have happened. You know, I lost friend after friend, like family member after family member, and the grief was so much that I just literally, you know, losing my brother who I was so close to, it really, I just couldn't deal with it. And, you know, I also had like a job that was extremely stressful, and like there was just a lot of stress for me. So I started smoking pretty heavily. And I didn't want to, you know, and so I was like really talking to my spirit guides and stuff, and I was just like, yo, I don't want to like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I'm not trying to just be smoking weed all the time. You know, I have big goals. I have people relying on me. I have a daughter that's looking up to me, and I'm an example. Like, I need to set a good example, and I don't want to be setting addiction as an example. Okay. And and there's more to it too, but it was one, you know, I could just feel like I just wanted to be done with it. Like I was just like, man, like I just I wasn't in school anymore. I got through a lot of the stressors I was dealing with, and life was kind of just slowing down for me, and it was just me. Like I didn't have a job, didn't have school. All I had to focus on was myself and my household and my family. And I was like, all right, this is the time to quit. And so how I did it was, you know, I started breaking it up. You know, because I had a habit of like, okay, in the morning, you know, I was like prepping for my day by like taking a couple hits or whatever. You know, mind you, we had a puppy at the time, so I was like, you know, just like, oh my god. So I started breaking that up. And what I did was I acknowledged what I liked about that. What did I actually like? And what I really liked about when I was going out smoking and stuff, it wasn't about smoking, it was about me taking time for myself and going outside. So I was like, I need to give myself a reason to go outside. So what I started doing was I'd make myself tea in the morning and I'd go sit on the porch and I just, look at the sun and hear the birds and just take it easy. I would not do nothing. I don't do nothing besides go to the bathroom and grab my tea and go sit on the porch and just take a minute to myself. And that was how I was like helping regulate my stress. And not only this, but I started doing research on how I could improve my brain health. And because I feel like part of the reason why I was stressed is because my brain wasn't that healthy. So I was like, let me figure out how to make my brain healthy. So I started looking into like how I can decrease cortisol levels. And I found that green tea decreases cortisol levels because it increases GABA in your brain. And that being said, marijuana inhibits GABA from being produced in your brain. So it directly is like makes it harder for you to relax. Even though when you're high, it may feel like you're relaxing, but like it's literally cutting off things that will make you relax. So, but GABA is that like that calm state, that flow state. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychotherapist, whatever. But that I don't. I'm just a person that just be trying to figure out life, and I have been let down severely by so many healthcare professionals and blah blah blah. So I kind of became my own doctor. Not even gonna lie. Anyway, so I also started taking creatine, and creatine I have found that my body was just really happy with it. Creatine has been shown to be very beneficial for the brain. There was a study done with kids that, and don't quote me directly, but there's a study done that these kids had like brain injuries or something like that, and they took creatine and then their brains like improved, like they grew larger and things like that. Like the larger your brain, I don't know, but it helped their brains grow. And so I was trying to, grow my brain, get that GABA, and I found it to be helpful. Like I really started to feel more at peace. Now, mind you, let's talk about the first couple weeks when I quit. So one thing that I kept doing is I was breaking it up. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna do this today. And I was just breaking it up a little bit, and then I was just like, you know what? Like I'm done. And I had that little joint in my hand, and I looked at it, and I was like, I'm not gonna let you mess up my life. Like I ain't gonna let you mess up my life. And mind you, at the time I was smoking so much, I started developing a lump in my breast. Was it associated? I don't know, but I will tell you when I quit, it went away. Um, but so that being said, where the heck was I? um, yeah. Well, anyways, I noticed that my memory did get better. I am very tired, but I was also working my butt off the past 2 weeks. Um, okay, yes, I quit cold turkey, and that's just what worked for me. I was ready for it. I was like, I told my husband, I said, honey, this is not gonna be fun for none of us. So just give me my space, try to be supportive, and just know that like I ain't gonna be my best self for the next 2 weeks, like or next month, couple months. I say I don't know what it's gonna be like, but it's not gonna be fun. I can tell you that. So I did not sleep for like 2 weeks, y'all. I really didn't. I couldn't sleep, and I wasn't even smoking weed to sleep, and I could not sleep, and it was becoming like torturous, kind of. So I was just up, and so I started taking CBD. I've been taking CBD for sleep, but I started taking a little bit more of that to try to help me sleep. Taking some Unisoms, taking some melatonin. But here's the thing too. Simultaneously, when I was trying to quit weed, I also was like, I don't want no more sleep aids. Okay, I don't want to be relying on nothing. Like I want to have a clean slate here. I don't want sleep aids. I don't want to be smoking weed. I just want to feel me. I want to feel my energy. I want to be in my energy, and I want to like witness my body, my mind, and my soul in the rawest of forms, right? So I was like, you know what? After a point, I was like, I ain't sleeping anyway. So I stopped taking the sleep things, and it was rough. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was very, very rough. Um, but I started to sleep. Like, I was praying a lot, and I was just like asking my spiritual guys, like, will y'all just help me sleep? And like, you guys know what I'm trying to do right now. Y'all know why I'm trying to do it, and like, please help me sleep. And so I started sleeping, and every night I pray. I do that same prayer, just praying that I find sleep, and I ask my angels and my spiritual guides to help me sleep, and they do. I feel myself relax. I take a scoop of peanut butter before I go to bed, take a little bit of CBD, and I sleep. I'm not relying on no sleep aids no more. They're gone. Okay. Um, but some things that I noticed after that really hard point of just feeling like really agitated and irritable and stuff, is I started to find a deeper sense of peace. I started to go to the gym more. I started to have less social anxiety. I started to feel more confident. My self esteem increased. I was gaining weight. I was working out more, and I enjoyed it more. And I enjoyed the small things more, like the dew on the grass and the laughter of my daughter, and the small moments of the day, my dog's eyes, and my husband's smell. Like, all these things were just meant so much more to me, because I kind of felt like the weed was like desensitizing me, right? And all of a sudden I was like becoming more sensitive to my life. And not just that, but I started to receive my spiritual gifts again, because I noticed that when I was smoking a lot, I didn't really have my spiritual gifts. And honestly, I think it was because I wasn't ready for it. Like, it was very overwhelming. I'm not going to go too much into what my spiritual gifts are, but I will tell you there's a lot of mental energy that comes with it. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So, I started to prioritize myself and really prioritize the things that were helping me have peace, such as like a tea in the morning, going out to a trail after working out to clear my mind, meditating, and just being very intentional. I started to push myself and challenge myself in ways that I wasn't before, like certain goals that I had. I was focused on that. Um, I gave myself a goal of like, hey, I want to learn how to do a headstand. So I was like practicing that, and that was where I was putting my focus. Um, and I was just like staying away from people who were smoking a lot, and that was part of the other thing too, is that I lost some people because that's all we did was smoke weed. And some of this happened naturally, some of this happened not so naturally, but I found that it was just hard to be around people that I was smoking with all the time and that smoke all the time, because the smell became frustrating to me. And it's not like I was judging them, it was just that I would feel that slight like craving or that slight like urge, and it, ever so slightly, but nevertheless, I still had to challenge it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was still showing up, and I still had to be like, no, like, we not partaking in that. Um, But something else that I noticed too was that my energy was a lot more clear. Like, it was, everything was just clear. I had no idea how much like energetic sludge I had going on until I quit, and I felt so much lighter in my spirit, and you know, it, it just felt so good. Like, my energy felt good, and I was like, man, I'm so happy, and like, I don't know, I just feel responsible, and in kind of a way, like, it became like a little more like boring, I guess. I wasn't like, I don't really want to be like in too much of like partying and stuff, or just like, I don't know. I just a little more chill, like just be chilling and being responsible. I start to like taper off there. But yeah, like I just feel stronger as a person now. I feel like that was one thing that was like really holding me back, because I was like, I want to make these videos. I want to like help people liberate themselves from things, because I have liberated myself through some shit, and if anything, like, maybe, me setting an example can help people liberate, because I know I'm one of those people. I have prayed before. I'm like, Like, universe, like, please send me an example of what I'm trying to create, or like just a slight example that will inspire me to create what I am trying to create. And that's kind of like what I try to be in my own personal life, is like, let me be an inspiration to you, in whatever you're trying to, go through and get through. Because weed is like a fickle, tricky thing, right? It makes us think that it's helping us when it's really not. And my anxiety, like, is dang near non-existent. Like, I used to have anxiety so bad, like, so bad. And I quit, and now it's like better. Smoking makes your anxiety worse, and it makes your social anxiety worse. And like, people who be quick to be like, no, it's not addicting, or no, it don't do that, it does this for me, da, 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 da. Like, usually people that are saying things like that, like, you probably got a problem, bro. That's why you're so defensive on it. Okay, so, like, handle that with yourself. Don't handle that with me. I'm just stating my personal experiences, like, like what I have experienced. um but I don't know. I see, like, the dispensaries is very, like, all over the place, and I'm like, what are we teaching our kids when there's just weed everywhere? Like, that's not a kid friendly thing. Like, my kids smoking weed. Like, first when I moved into the neighborhood we live in now, this kid told me he was in trouble because he was smoking weed, and it's just like, at the time I was smoking weed, not like, currently or nothing, but, on and off of my life. And I was just like, I can't even tell you nothing because I smoke weed my damn self. So it's just like, what are we teaching our kids? Like, that it's just cool to just be high all the time? Like, I'm sorry, but I have very important things that I need to do and I need to say, and I can't just be high as hell trying to talk about these things. Because I'll be looking back. I've tried to make videos when I was stoned or whatever. I look back on it and I was like, what are you even talking about, bro? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. And, like, that's how it be, but when you're stoned, you don't realize it. Um, but yeah, so I did lose some friends. And also I kind of just been like happier being alone. Like, I'm like, I actually enjoy my time by myself. I don't really feel like lonely. The only time I really do feel like lonely is when I'm going through like ascensions and like big spiritual progress, because it's very, very like challenging to find people who have had similar experiences. Like, and so it's just very like, oh, my ear ringing right now. Um, it's a very personal thing, right? But I love myself. I love my energy, and quitting smoking weed has really helped my health improve. It helped my physical health improve. It helped because smoking increases inflammation in your body, and like a lot of my inflammation went down. My muscles got a little thicker, and my mental is just so much more clear. Like, I love it. I love how clear minded I am, because now I'm like, okay, like, if this comes from my head, I know where it's coming from. Or I can be like, oh, that's not my thought, or that's not from me. And it's just so clear. And I'm just like, wow, I never thought my head could be this clear. And so it's nice. It's nice. And emotionally, all right, so let's get into the emotional. So after I quit and I hit that point of like where I wasn't so sleep deprived, I just cried so hard. And I looked at my brother's picture and I cried so hard, and I just come into the room. My husband was laying down and I was just like, honey, I miss my brother so much. I'm getting teary eyed just, talking about it, because I do miss him. It's been couple years. I don't even know. I don't keep track anymore because so many people have died. I just like, man, I just miss him so much. And it just hurt. Like, my heart hurt. And I was finally confronting the grief that I was pushing away. And all these emotions was coming up for like probably weeks on and off. But eventually it cycled through, and it wasn't hitting as hard. Like, even like me getting emotional now, like, it's just normal to be emotional about those things, but it's like a little bit different when it's like so detrimental to you, or it's like really like you just can't do nothing else because it's like shutting your system down, or like ramping your system up too much, right? Like, I can keep going about my day with the grief, moving with it, but yeah, it just brought up like a ton of emotions that I wasn't ready for at that point. And it was kind of surprising to me. I was like, damn, I didn't even know I was like still that upset over it. But, you know, lo and behold, I was. So, um, but yeah, you know, that's just something to expect. Like my appetite increased. I'm like hungry all the time. So that's great. Um, kind of because I'll be like, I don't even know what to eat. But yeah, y'all, I think that about sums it up. You know, I touched on many things here. At this point, you know, I try to just stay away from it. It's kind of like hard to stay away from it because it seems like everybody be smoking, and I personally just don't really want to be around it too much at this point. The same way I don't really want to be around alcohol. Like these things, you know, it is what it is. But I love like creating and playing sports and working out and playing with my family and just like having fun and being silly and stuff. And that's more of like what I'm leaning into is like my life purpose and just like being more joyful without substance. And so my message for you is like I just pray that you find the breakthrough that you need if you are struggling with addiction of any kind. I pray that you find the wisdom that you need to really break that and detox and you know, really come into yourself and know that you have all the power you need and all the tools you need. And yeah, you may need to reach out and get help, and maybe help shows up in different ways than you were taught. Um, but all in all, like I see many positive things happen when the addiction breaks and all that, like withdrawal symptoms break. Like many beautiful things come from that. And I remember a long time ago when I was really struggling with addiction, like alcohol and weed. I was working at this really toxic ass job. This job was like the worst job I ever had. And there's this cook, and he was like real fit dude. And you know, he had said to me, because I asked him if he wanted to grab a drink or something. And he was like, "Nah, I'm sober." I said, "You're sober?" Because he was young, you know. I was like, "You're sober?" And he was like, "Yeah, when I'm stressed, you know what? I just go for a run or I go to the gym." He's like, "And you know what? I look good. I feel good." And I never forget that moment. And like now I'm there. Like now I'm like, yeah, you know, when I'm stressed, I just go to the gym and I pump some weights and I look good, I feel good. And I love that. I love that, like, small little message that just stuck with me because now, you know, as I'm older, I'm like, okay, let's pass that message on. You know, there are ways to deal with things that's not like addiction, you know. But I pray that the spirit of addiction be broken from you and that you really find that inner peace that you are gifted and born with, and all those things that have happened in your life that have made you feel overwhelmed. I really hope that you find that peace and that you find that love within yourself and that you find an increase in self-esteem and that you find an increase in your health, and may you be showered with all that love because you deserve it. All right, so that's my message for y'all. A little bit long today, but y'all, good luck with everything. You know, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, you know, thumbs up if you like this video. If not, it is what it is. Have a lovely day and goodbye.